Hello and welcome. Today we've got Sherri Divband, and today we are going to be discussing children's future education. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Unless, of course, myself and Sherri can choose our words wisely due to the insane censorship that's happening right now. Sherri, thank you for joining me. How are you and what have you been up to?
Hi, Nicholas. Thank you so much for having me back on your show. I've been busy. It's been a whirlwind year for me, and I'm excited to talk about all the really incredible things that we're doing.
Absolutely. Now, I've had you on before and we've spoken about children, and I know that's a very big topic for you. And I hear you're working on a project. So why don't you give us a breakdown or a short presentation of what you've been up to with your project and, what the whole excitement is that you would like to share today?
Yeah, I'd be honored to do so. Thank you, Nicholas. So about a year ago, I opened up a spiritual platform of education for children, actually last December, and it was called Divinely Guided Children. And my idea years ago was to create a platform for children to be able to learn spiritual topics, mindfulness, take yoga, learn spiritual practices, learn how to tap into their intuition and tap into their energy and understand what all of that means, because we all come into this life with all of these skills and all of these abilities. But if we don't understand them, we typically end up closing them off. And if we don't have parents or friends or teachers that allow us to have conversations and introduce us to certain things, then we tend to close them down because we think that there's something wrong. And so I wanted to create an environment where children could take classes and get exposed to spiritual topics. So it really started out as a spiritual center for children. And I live in Maryland in the States. And I opened up a physical location within my office because I have been working one-on-one. I'm an intuitive energy healer. And so I work with adults for many years. And so I started working more with children through their parent sessions. And then this is where everything kind of just the ball started rolling, where I said, the parents would ask me, you teach a lot of things like how to use a pendulum, I teach Reiki, how to tap into your intuition, mindfulness, yoga, all sorts of things. They said, can you teach my children this? And that's really when I got motivated to say, yeah, why not? Why don't we offer these types of things for our children? Because they should know all of these things and they're really open to it. When I used to do practices at home, my children would get involved. My son used to love pulling a card of the day when I was working with tarot cards. He loved to play with my pendulum and ask it questions and things like that. And as long as their children are in an environment where they understand how to use these tools and they know how to protect themselves and they really understand the value of them, then these subjects suddenly are no longer taboo. And so that was my intention. Now, because of the current events, we'll just say that over the last couple of years, a lot of other things started coming to the surface with regard to children and their education that they're receiving. And so many parents reached out to me and said, Sherri, will you start offering educational classes for my children? Because I want to take them out of the current system right now. They're not learning, they're not thriving. And my children are refusing now to go to school. And at first I was resistant because I'm actually not a public educator. I am a mother of three. I'm an intuitive energy healer. I'm an author. I teach a lot. I've been teaching various things for over 20 years. And I'm good at teaching what I know. But as far as the education system, I don't know the ins and outs of all of that other than experiencing it through my own children's eyes. And I have a 7, a 9, and a 17-year-old. So they're in all sorts of different grades. So I've kind of seen it all at this point. And so I didn't have a lot of experience in that realm, but I started seeing the demand. I would get dozens of emails a day from parents all over the world, Australia, all over Europe, Canada, and all over the States saying, Sherri, Mexico, South America, please, can you open one of these spiritual centers, at least in my area? And then maybe eventually, you can start offering core subject classes. And I really had to reevaluate what it was that I was creating. And so throughout the past year, I've been offering virtual, they're 100% virtual. And I have children from all over the world that take these classes, anywhere from the subjects that I initially mentioned, which I call spiritual beginnings, which is intuitive energy healing, understanding your body, mindfulness, how to channel your emotions, how to understand energy and the energy body, and yoga, and how to tips for relaxation and tapping, how to release trapped emotions, things that children should be learning in school to help them later on in life have the tools so that when stress comes and life hits you hard in this reality, they know what they can navigate through it with much more conviction, and they're more empowered and they're more connected to their higher consciousness. And the current system that these children have been in for generations of time is all about programming. It's all about, following the student in front of you, doing what you're told, listen to what the teacher says, don't ask questions, follow the rules, memorize this, take this test, compete with this child for this position in this college. And it's all in preparation for children to go into the world with very little skills on how to actually navigate through challenges in life. And it's all about how to prepare them to go into the system, essentially. So that's why there's so many adults coming to me now. And I work with a lot of adults right now, trying to help them find themselves again, tap into their intuition, understand that we all have the ability to heal ourselves. We all have the ability to really get the answers to anything that we're looking for, and to use discernment, especially right now with all the current events going on, and how to really empower ourselves and focus on co-creating the world that we want to see. And so that's what I'm all about. I'm trying to do my part to help create a new environment for our children to actually thrive in. So my centers have now changed. I've changed the name, and I've named it after my daughter, Aramis, who is the one that, who's the youngest, she's 7. And I talk about her a lot. And I think I've talked about her on your show, that she was the one that inspired me because we have a very special connection. She came to me before I got pregnant and told me she was coming. And we had this big journey together, and I was going to help her create something. And over time, I realized, oh gosh, this is what we signed up to do together. So the schools are called Aramis Creative Learning Center. And right now it's 100% virtual, like I mentioned, but I am really determined and motivated to shift the education system for the children so that they have a more intuitive, holistic, self-driven, non-competitive based environment, so that they can take the subjects that they enjoy and want to learn. Because if you put a child in an environment where they're made to learn certain things one after another for an entire day, 6 days or 5 days a week, rather, they get trained. The children in no matter where they live right now are dealing with depression, anxiety. They're suicidal. They don't know who they are. They're so stressed out because they're competing with all the other children in the grades that they've gone up with, and they're stressed out. And I work with those children, and I see how hard of a time that they're having right now. And that's not right. In our most vulnerable developmental stages of life, we should be nurtured. We should be thriving. We should be in environments where we're excited about what we're learning. And so what I've created here is an opportunity where we can open up an alternative education platform all over the world. So the first one that we're building right now we're working to build rather, is going to be in Florida. And the reason I chose Florida is because I had such an outpouring from people in Florida saying, I want this now. And they screamed the loudest. I put a survey, and over 500 people responded in favor of what I'm doing, parents and teachers. And by far, Florida was number 1, Texas was 2, and California was number 3. So that is the order of which we are going to create these centers in the physical location so that children can actually go. But this isn't just about those 3 states. My long-term vision, is to create these locations for children in every state all over the world, so that we can shift the trajectory of education for future generations to come. So that's kind of the foundation, but I'll let you kind of speak for a minute and ask me any particular questions, because I kind of went all over the place there.
No, it's great. No, thank you for that, for giving us an overview. And I think opening up in Florida and Texas, is a safe bet, because they are they're pro-freedom states. I don't want to say which parties, because people who are awake, we don't care about political parties. We care about freedom here. So no, they're very good states. So how many children are you teaching right now at the minute when you say it's virtual?
Good question. We have we just extended our offerings into Australian time zone. So I partnered up with Carly and Julia Rossetti. I think a lot of people know them. They have their own podcast based out of Australia. And so they're helping me get the Australian time zone going, because I had so many parents reach out from that area of the world in that time zone saying, oh, your classes are in the middle of the night for us. When are you going to offer some for us? So we just really escalated the amount of classes we're offering. We've hired 10 more teachers. Right now we have almost 20 teachers. We have a lot of administrative help. And as far as students go on the virtual platform, I'd have to say we have probably over 100 at this time. And a lot of them pop in and out of classes if they're interested. So it's hard to say commitment wise how many of those 100 are stable. I would say probably 45 to 50 take classes all the time. Now, the classes we offer right now are extracurricular. So they are topics that I believe, my personal opinion, and many agree with me, that these are the things that these children should be learning in school as part of their normal curriculum. And so those are the ones we're offering. And they're anywhere from music, art, mindfulness, yoga, meditation classes. I teach Reiki level 1 to children, all about consciousness, philosophy, astrology, tarot. Tarot by Janine teaches a tarot class. She's not teaching right now. She's taking a little break. But we have a plethora of extracurricular. So there's nothing we offer right now that's curriculum based that children could come and take, like math and science, and get credit for it for school. This is alternative. But my goal is that once we open the physical locations all over the world, then this will be an actual location that children can go to, and they get all of their education. And I created what's called the Aramis stages of learning. So we're getting rid of grades, letter grades. The competition has got to go. So I created the Aramis stages of learning, which is our developmental stages, kind of like Montessori, but I'm doing my own thing, where children are going to be in groups by ages in developmental stages, but also maturity level, emotional well-being. So there's a lot of factors that are involved, anywhere from the ages of 4 all the way to 22. I believe that the universities are going to become less popular, let's just say that, without going into that controversial topic. And so I would like to create trade schools. So eventually I would like to partner up with organizations that are around after all of this is the shifting of the planet and the great shift occurs. Whatever positive and of the light, let's just say, organizations that are left standing, that are for the highest good of humanity in their vision, we will partner up with them to create internships that will lead to trade schools, because I see that that's where the education system is going for children in the future. And I saw that 6-7 years ago, and I didn't quite understand what it meant, but now I do. Where children, basically, in a really short summary of what I'm trying to create for children is, I want them to go into the education experience with an excitement and motivation because they're enjoying what they're learning. They don't have to take every single subject that's offered. It's a la carte. So it's an opportunity for mom, parents, and children, or caretakers and the child, to decide, okay, these are the classes offered this week. They could take 2 days of school. They could go full time, whatever that looks like. It's completely up to the people. We need to shift the entire dynamic and the entire paradigm of education so that it's more conducive to the child. And that's an individual basis. So some may thrive in an environment of academics and others may not. And we will have animal therapy as part of this, as part of our centers, where children can be out in the farm with the animals, painting, reading to the horses. We can use that for therapy and PTSD and anxiety and stress relief and depression. So there's a whole animal component and animal therapy and wellness that is going to be incorporated. A lot of the classes are going to be outside, conducive of weather, of course, because when kids need to get back into nature, we're going to teach them how to garden, how to sew, how to cook, intuitive eating. I mean, all the things that I wish I had when I was a child, and we should be providing those opportunities for them to learn these things. I'm going to shift the whole paradigm of the nursing department and have health and wellness wings in each of these centers, where children can go in and lay on biomats. If they have a tummy ache, they go and lay on a heated biomat for 20 minutes. We have biofeedback frequency scanners to help them balance and check in when they need to. We'll have Himalayan salt therapies, salt rooms, meditation rooms, Reiki practitioners, integrative nurses that understand the holistic component, spiritual and integrative therapists, social workers. So the whole dynamic of the entire health and wellness will every single component of what I am creating is going to be night and day different than what our children are currently exposed to. And so this is a huge endeavor that I'm taking on here, but I believe that this is somebody needs to do it. And I know that there are a lot of places around the world that have created their one location, but my vision is much bigger. I want to create an Aramis Learning Center in every state and is in many countries that we are able to expand in over the next 10, 20 years.
So, do you know, you said that you're currently, it's an alternative learning. So if you was to partner up with an organization who can take you, make it more of the standard type of level of learning, and you can, have a bigger reach like that, where it's, the learning that we really need, not what the system's given us and trying to program us into. What type of, training would teachers need in order to take such positions versus to the training they're getting right now?
Yes, an excellent question, Nicholas. And I actually put out an advertisement before I just hired a bunch of new teachers. And, I'm really looking at the person as a whole. My interviewing style is completely different than others. And what I'm looking for is not something that is on paper. It's something that it's a frequency, it's an energy. So I'm looking at somebody's motivation, how they genuinely feel about children, how they genuinely feel about teachers. So I'm looking for teachers that are credentialed, that perhaps went into the system and realized, oh gosh, this is not what I was expecting. These children are not actually learning anything valuable, and they're limited in what they're able to do. And a lot of those teachers have already quit, and I've hired many of them. I'm looking for people that align with our vision. So it's less about credentials and more about what you can bring to the table. I'm looking at mothers and fathers and grandparents that may not have a lot of education experience, but I bet you they can teach a lot better than some of these other teachers that have been in the system for 20, 30 years, because they followed a protocol and they weren't able to get outside of that protocol. And I want to bring new energy. We're building the curriculum from the ground up. So if someone asks me, what does your curriculum look like? I say, I don't know. We're building it as we go, because it's completely organic. And there are a lot of people that are going to watch this, and they're going to say, oh God, I don't like what she's creating. And that's fine, because this is why it's alternative. It's not for everybody. So those people that are still very much in the system, want their child to go to an Ivy League education and go to higher education to become a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, they're going to look at this and say, oh gosh, this is too chaotic. I don't like it. And that's fine. It's all about resonance and vibration. But I tell you that the children that are going to thrive in this environment are going to have the parents that are open and willing to at least try it. And then my hope is that over time it will catch on, because these children, I'm telling you, as they go through the years in our school, we're calling them centers. We're trying to get away from the word school because it has such a negative connotation to it. But they are going to be excited to learn, and it's going to be hands-on, so they can decide. And as these children get older and the subjects get a little bit harder, the teachers are obviously going to have to have a little bit more of credentials as we get into the more difficult subjects. And then my hope is to partner up with organizations like, let's say, Starlink as an example. So all the up and coming young minds that are innovative and intelligent beyond previous generations, who are falsely labeled. We're going to get rid of the labels, the false label of the ADs and the Aspers and I don't want to give any words that could trigger anything, but everyone knows what I'm talking about. Those children are unique and beautiful. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. They're star seeds that have come into this planet, and they learn differently, they think differently, and they act differently. And they're here to break us out of this box that our children and previous generations and many adults have been placed in. And we continue to be placed in that. And anybody that doesn't fit in that box is labeled as difficult, or they have behavioral problems, or something is wrong, we need to medicate them. That is not going to be allowed in my future, my world that I'm creating for these children. They are who they are, and authentically are going to be allowed to be who they are. And if they need to stand up the entire class and move around and sit on a swing, then that teacher is going to be able to work with them. So we'll have to find teachers that are dynamic and that have the ability to work with children in a different way, because we are catering to the children 100%, not the other way around. So our teachers are going to be more mentors. So that's why I care more about who they are as a human being. What do you believe in? What do you believe about children? And do you respect children as an equal, or do you feel that you're better than them because you're an adult? Those are the things that I'm paying attention to, because they need to be flexible and they need to believe in the children as the future leaders of this world. And they need to be able to cater to that. And because they come first, they really do, because they are the future. Everything that you and I and everyone else as adults are doing right now is for the future children. We're not going to be here at some point, and then they're going to bring children up into this world. And I'm trying to bridge the gap into a new, better system.
So this type of teaching and education centers that you would like to create, obviously you have a vision in how children, will grow up and how they will behave and how they will speak and be in society and create that world for them and their future. What does that look like to you?
I see children thriving as they grow up. They're getting foundational skills of how to connect with their higher consciousness, how to trust their instincts, their intuition. They're going to be more centered and balanced, compassionate, kind, considerate human beings that work in unity and build teams. You get rid of the competition and the stress and the anxiety and the tests and the grades and all of that really gets these children outside of their comfort zone and lowers their vibration. They disconnect from themselves. A lot of children are disassociating right now from their reality because they can't understand it. They can't fit. It's too overwhelming. It's too overstimulating for them. So I see that if children are in the environment that I'm trying to create for them, they will grow up learning mindfulness, understanding other children and other adults' perspectives and perceptions on things, how to balance out your emotions. When you get angry, instead of sending the child for timeout or putting them in detention, let's work with what's going on with that child and why they're acting out. Maybe we need to take them and do a frequency scan to see what's going on. Maybe they need a spiritual counselor to see what's going on at home. There's nothing wrong with that child. They're screaming out for a reason. They need help. So we shouldn't shun those children. So I see as they go through these classes that we offer, they learn how to manage their emotions, to understand their emotions, to understand how to channel those emotions, how to tap into their intuition and trust their knowing, so that they are not, right now we're taught in society, right now and historically that we have to go outside of ourselves to get the answers. Oh, you got to go to that wise person or the teacher or the pastor or whomever, even celebrities, the gurus. And in my reality, that has to stop. We have every single thing we need within us. We're all unique, amazing souls with a spirit, with our own wisdom, our own personalities, the things that make us unique. And because of that, as a result of that, we are different. And I want to teach children that it's okay to be different. You don't have to be like everybody else. And once they understand that, once they know that, they will thrive in an environment where they grow up feeling empowered. They grow up feeling like they can do anything. Because we all came in with that. I remember as a young girl thinking I could do anything. And one teacher here told me, oh, Sherri, you're doing it wrong. You got to do it this way. A parent telling me, oh, that's not right. And another teacher. And throughout my life, I was put down so many times that I grew up feeling very insecure. Well, I can't do that why not? Well, because that teacher told me that I wasn't smart enough or I couldn't do this. And we have a society of people right now that are my age, because I'm in my 40s, all the way up to, I work with 70, 80-year-olds who are depressed, they're riddled with anxiety, and they don't know who they are. They've lost complete connection with themselves. And when you ask them an honest question, who are you, Nicholas? What is it that you love? What is it that you enjoy in your life? What makes you different than other people? And you ask people that, they don't have an answer. They've completely lost touch with who they are.
So right now you've got these virtual classes going on. So what does that look like every week? How many classes is that? And if you also tell us, what topics do you currently have in those classes?
Yeah, right now it's extracurricular based. So we try to keep it on evenings and weekends. So we don't want to exclude the children that are in school, on the regular daytime hours. So we can offer anywhere from 30 or so classes a month. We're going to offer more, but we just need more. I just need to hire more people to help me, because right now I'm doing a lot to post the classes, coordinate all of that. And I do have some help, but about 30, 35 classes a month. And they vary. Like I said, philosophy, we have some new classes: spiritual toolbox, understanding consciousness, astrology, astronomy, tarot, how to use a pendulum, Reiki, energy, spiritual beginnings, philosophy classes, connecting to your consciousness, mindfulness, tapping, how to manage emotions, art, various art classes to teach people to teach children to channel their inner creative side, music, creative writing, spirit photography. So using photography, but through the soul photography. I mean, we have a moon journaling class. I mean, every couple of weeks we post something amazing and new and very unique and creative. Mindfulness math is a new one. Crystal classes, crystal gritting classes. I mean, there are a plethora of opportunities right now, and it's, I created a cartoon animation series called Divinely Guided Children about a year ago. Right now we have 10 episodes, 11 are coming out. And they're all about introducing children to the topics that I've just discussed in a fun cartoon animated, format. And my hope is that children watch these and they say, "Hey, Mom, I want to learn more about crystals or Reiki or whatever topic we've talked about in the cartoon." And I can't tell you the hundreds of people that have reached out to me in the last year saying that they're incredible and their children love them and the adults love them and the grandparents love them. And so, I'm all about just trying to provide more for the children to learn, so it can spark that side of them that perhaps has been shut down. Or for the younger ones, we don't shut that down. We keep that open for them. Mm-hmm. But when we go into the physical locations, Nicholas, that's when we're going to add full-time, 1 hour increment classes throughout the day. And we will incorporate important subjects, of course, like math, science, geography, spiritual science is one that I'm going to be interested in teaching. You name it. I mean, I have a class I have a class list on the website of future classes, and there's over 100 on there. So think about children, think about adults when they go into a university and they get to choose their classes from a catalog. I'm trying to create the same thing where children as young as 4, all throughout their young adulthood, can choose their classes based on a offering, a la carte, and they get to choose the classes that they want. And the parents it's ultimately up to the parent and the child to decide how much math this child is going to learn this week, how much creative classes like art, music, animal science classes, reading, writing. It's up to them. They decide.
Mm-hmm. So the other thing was, what's the next step for you now to creating those physical centers, which of course, human interaction is very important and will expand, your offerings as an, education. So what's your next step? What is it that you need to put in place?
Great question. So we started a nonprofit called the Aramis Collective, and we are fundraising to raise money in order to purchase land and get the first location in West Palm Beach, Florida, open and up and running. What I need are people who are willing to donate and invest in the future of the children and what we're creating, so that we can get started building the first location. And then once that's started, we'll have a mega campus in Dallas, Florida, Dallas, Texas, which will be probably 2 or 3 times the size. And that's where I see the trade schools being. And I didn't get to finish that earlier. Like Starlink was an example. So we hook up with Starlink, and they now sponsor Aramis Creative Learning Center. And we work to create opportunities, internships, and then future trade school opportunities, certifications, and they link up. And if we have a plethora of those in different kind of themes, then we have an opportunity for our children to go right into what it is that they actually want to do, instead of spending 4 years and an absorbent amount of money, and really not learning much of what, only a fraction of those 4 years do you actually get to learn what you want. And then there's a lot of these prerequisite classes. So we'll get away from that. So I see that happening in the Dallas, Texas location, and then we'll expand into Palm Desert, California, Washington State, South Carolina, and we'll just start popping them up everywhere as fast as we can. That's in the highest alignment of the children, and as long as we have the partnerships and the support. So really, what we're looking for is not only donations, but just support. We want energy behind this, because this is huge. We need to manifest this physical location, and we do that by people watching this, sharing this with other parents that they have children and family members, and spread the word that, hey, if you want to make a difference and you want to be part of the change, then help us. Let's build a community.
There's a lady that I know, she owns a school in Miami, if I'm not mistaken. Her name is Layla Setna. Have you heard of her?
I have heard of her, yes.
I don't know if she can help. I don't know if it's something she would like to integrate in her school, or she knows someone that could reach out because she's in that school system already. But I can send her this video later and see what she says. And, so maybe that's something else I could do for you. But another thing that I could do is I'd love to put a link below in the description so that people can contact you, they can donate, they can help you. It's a great thing you're doing for, the future for our children, But, Sherri Divband, it's been a great honor having you. Thank you so, so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
I just want to thank everybody for listening and giving me the opportunity to have this platform to really speak on behalf of the children. And any support anybody watching this is willing to give us, please reach out. And if it's not money, then your support in other ways is also valuable. And if anybody knows anybody that could help us with certain things like animation to continue that, moving that forward, or I'm trying to create a documentary to put out the word on New Earth children and education. So we're trying to create a documentary series on that. So if anybody has resources or anything that can help us, please reach out. And Nicholas, you can put the links below to contact me. We have two websites. The Aramis Collective is the nonprofit, and then Aramis Creative Learning Center is the actual physical, the schools, the centers.
Okay, well, excellent. Thank you very much, Sherri, and we'll speak again soon. And good luck with it all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.